Hampton Court Palace, located in Richmond-upon-Thames, is a fascinating blend of Tudor, Stuart, and Georgian architecture. This stunning site isn't just about its impressive design, it also holds a rich history filled with stories of trauma and collective memory. If you're into the supernatural, you might find this place particularly interesting. It's often mentioned as one of the most haunted locations in the UK. Many visitors and ghost enthusiasts claim to have experienced eerie encounters here. When it comes to hauntings at Hampton Court Palace, the stories that truly stand out are those tied to the wives of Henry VIII. Many believe these eerie occurrences are what we call residual hauntings. Just think that these historical figures could still be leaving their mark, even centuries later. Are you curious? Stay with me as we find out what's been happening. Hampton Court Palace was constructed in the early 1500s by Cardinal Thomas Wolsey. However, when Wolsey fell out of favour with King Henry VIII, the king seized the opportunity to take it for himself. Henry was quite fond of this palace. It was the site of his honeymoons, a place where he celebrated his marriages, and unfortunately, a backdrop for some dark choices that led to ruin for many. In the exhibition areas near Clock Court, visitors have reported sightings of a mysterious, hooded figure or executioner. Some believe this apparition is the ghost of an executioner searching for Cardinal Wolsey himself. Wolsey narrowly avoided execution by dying of natural causes in 1530 after being accused of treason. This ghostly figure is often described as peering out from windows or quietly following guests through the exhibition rooms. The ghost of Catherine Howard, the fifth wife of Henry VIII, is arguably the most vocal and frequently documented spirit within the palace. Her reported activity is concentrated in the Haunted Gallery, a space originally known as the processional route, which connected the royal apartments to the Chapel Royal. In November 1541, after being accused of adultery and treason, the teenage queen was confined to her rooms. Legend states that she managed to evade her guards and ran down this gallery, screaming for the king, who was attending mass, to show her mercy. She was apprehended before reaching the chapel doors and was eventually executed at the Tower of London in 1542. Reports of this haunting are characterized by intense auditory and physical sensations. Witnesses frequently describe hearing blood-curdling screams echoing through the gallery, a phenomenon that has been reported for centuries. Modern visitors and staff have documented specific physical reactions in the exact spot where Catherine was allegedly seized by her guards. In 1999, 2 female visitors fainted in the same location in the Haunted Gallery on the same day, despite being on separate tours and having no prior interaction. Personal accounts from visitors describe a sudden strangling sensation where the throat feels constricted by invisible hands. Others report an icy breeze or Arctic breath cooling their legs, even in areas without drafts or ventilation. In 2015, a visitor named Holly photographed her cousin Brooke in the Haunted Gallery. The resulting image appeared to show a tall, distorted figure with dark hair in a dark grey dress towering over the girl. The strangling experience reported by Joe Romero in 2019 occurs precisely where historical records suggest Catherine was stopped by guards. This high level of geographical precision suggests a localized stone tape effect, where the environment retains the sensory data of the original traumatic event. In contrast to the vocal distress of Catherine Howard, we have the spirit of Jane Seymour. She was Henry VIII's third and allegedly favourite wife, and is described as a sad white wraith. Jane died at the palace on October 24, 1537, due to postnatal complications which was likely puerperal fever, which happened only 12 days after giving birth to the future King Edward VI. Jane's ghostly manifestations are noted for their consistency. The Silver Stick Stairs, which is the staircase that originally led to the chamber where Jane gave birth and subsequently died. She is frequently seen descending these stairs before vanishing. Manifestations happen on anniversaries, when sightings are traditionally reported on the anniversary of Prince Edward's birth in October. Jane is described as a pale, blonde, and slim figure, clothed entirely in white, carrying a lighted candle to guide her through the darkness. While her appearance is often described as beautiful or luminous, it is also noted as being genuinely upsetting to witnesses. Some historians and folklorists suggest that Jane's spirit remains at the palace because of the guilt she felt regarding the execution of Anne Boleyn, whose position she filled. Legend says that her spirit will not find rest until she obtains forgiveness from her predecessor. One of the most frequently cited ghosts at Hampton Court Palace is the Grey Lady, identified as Dame Sybil Penn, who was a loyal servant to 4 Tudor monarchs and served as the wet nurse to Edward VI. In 1562, she devotedly nursed Elizabeth I through a severe case of smallpox. While the Queen recovered, Penn contracted the disease and died shortly thereafter. The haunting of Sybil Penn is unique in that it appears to have been triggered by the disturbance of her material remains in 1829. When the old church at Hampton was demolished for renovation, her tomb was disturbed, and her spirit reportedly returned to the palace rooms she had inhabited in life. The most famous aspect of the Sybil Penn legend involves the auditory phenomenon of a spinning wheel. Shortly after the 1829 renovations, residents in a Grace and Favour apartment began hearing the rhythmic creaking of a spinning wheel coming from behind a solid wall. When the wall was eventually removed by the Board of Works, a previously unknown, walled-up room was discovered. Inside the room was an old, well-used spinning wheel, seemingly untouched for centuries. Her ghost is typically seen in the state apartments and clock court, appearing as a silent, sorrowful figure in grey clothing. She is described as having a mournful but calm expression, as if she is eternally continuing her royal duties. Unlike the traumatic hauntings of the queens, Sybil Penn's presence is often viewed as protective or domestic, a lingering vestige of Tudor court life. When we think of Hampton Court Palace, we immediately think about the royals who lived there and their ghost stories. But these are not the only ghosts reported at the palace. The Wolsey Closet is one of the best surviving fragments of Henry VIII's apartments. It contains an original Tudor fireplace and ceiling, 16th century wooden panelling, a series of painted panels, and a portrait of Henry, and is named after Thomas Wolsey, Henry's Lord Chancellor. In this area, visitors report seeing a young boy in old-fashioned clothes. He appears to be from the 17th century, dressed like a little nobleman. But there's something wrong with this child. His eyes are hollow and dark, and he never speaks. He just stares at people before vanishing into thin air. Many describe a boy who looks sick and lost, like he's been wandering the palace for hundreds of years. The history of Hampton Court is literally built upon the remains of those who constructed it. In Fountain Court, a specific haunting was documented that links spectral activity directly to unburied remains. During the late 19th century, an elderly resident in a Grace and Favour apartment complained of constant banging and knocking noises within her walls. These disturbances were initially dismissed by palace officials. However, in 1871, during a routine excavation under a cloister in Fountain Court, workers discovered 2 shallow graves containing male skeletons. These individuals are believed to have been workmen killed during the 1689 construction of the Baroque palace under Sir Christopher Wren, or perhaps victims of the English Civil War. Once the remains were properly interred, the banging and knocking noises reportedly ceased immediately. Recent reports from Professor Jones's Ghost Hunters Journal suggest that new building work lifting floorboards has unearthed more bones, and the knocking hauntings have supposedly returned to the apartments. The haunting of Hampton Court Palace extends into its functional and service areas, including the kitchens and wine cellars. These reports often involve non-royal entities and kinetic disturbances that suggest a more visceral, low-status haunting. Some guards patrolling the wine cellar have reported auditory anomalies for generations. These reports typically involve the sound of running footsteps echoing through the cellar. The footsteps stop instantly as soon as a guard or visitor enters the room. Shadowy figures have been seen moving along the cellar walls, though no physical presence is ever discovered. And staff have named this entity the Sandman, after a mysterious figure often associated with the area. The palace's ghost stories are not limited to the royal family or the famous Grey Lady. A variety of minor entities and animal spirits have been reported over the centuries, adding to the site's reputation as a paranormal playground. There are numerous reports of ethereal animals within the palace grounds. These include a greyhound that has been seen walking through the dining areas. This is often linked to Bloody Mary Tudor, who was known to keep greyhounds during her residence at the palace. A ghostly cat is said to appear and then disappear into thin air, a report shared by both staff and guests. Legends also speak of two young boys, former palace residents known as the Whipping Boys, who are occasionally heard playing in the courtyards. Their innocent laughter is said to pierce the silence of the night, providing a haunting contrast to the darker, more violent stories associated with the palace queens. Thank you for watching this Spooky Chronicles production. Click that like button to help push the video out to other viewers. Tap subscribe to join our community. Ring the notification bell and hit that hype button so you never miss another video. And share this video with a friend who swears they don't believe in ghosts. Good night.